Today is December 30th, 2020. We're here in Gwinnett County Magistrate Court conducting preliminary hearings by way of Zoom video conferencing. This is a result of the State Supreme Court Justice's order suspending or limiting in-person court proceedings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Parties have agreed to proceed by way of video conferencing and waive any technical difficulties to this proceeding. The matter before the court is the State of Georgia versus Rene T. Chavez, represented by Lawrence Lewis, and on behalf of the state, I have Kelsey Cole. Mr. Chavez is charged on warrant number 20W15655 with child molestation. Is that the charge upon which the state is proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you may proceed, ADA Cole.
Okay. Your Honor, for this case, we have lead officer M.R. Conway. Detective Conway, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay, thank you. You can put your hand down. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Detective Matthew R. Conway.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed with the Gwinnett County Police Department.
How long have you been with Gwinnett County?
A little over 5 years.
5 years. Are you post-certified law enforcement officer in that city, in Gwinnett?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you employed in that capacity on the date of the offense involving the defendant, Rene Tomas Chavez?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you come into contact with the defendant?
I was the on-call detective for the on-duty on-call for SVU. We were called out by the school, Couch Middle School. An outcry was made by the child to a counselor, which then was made to the school resource officer. They contacted the road units, who then, once they arrived on scene and obtained some information, they requested the on-call special victims detective, and that's how I got.
Okay. And what measures did you take once you became involved in this case?
Once I was advised of the call out, I contacted the SRO, Baldwin. The SRO advised me about the situation that was going on. The child made an outcry that her mother's boyfriend, Mr. Rene, had touched her the night before inappropriately. And from that point, I contacted the child's mother. I advised her that we would need to complete a forensic interview with the child at Mosaic, Georgia. She agreed to that. So then the officer followed mom, and she escorted the child to Mosaic for the forensic interview. At Mosaic, a forensic interview was conducted, as well as a forensic medical exam of the child. During the forensic interview, the child disclosed that the night before, around 2:40 in the morning, 3 a.m., she woke up to Mr. Rene standing over her, holding his cell phone with the light on, groping her breasts. She pushed him off. He dropped the phone, picked the phone back up, and then reached under the covers trying to pull her pants off. She said she pushed him again. That's when he stopped, turned the fan off in the room, and left the room. She said the following morning, she said something to a friend named CJ about it, and then she went and talked to a counselor and made the outcry to the counselor. During the forensic interview, the child disclosed that there had been a previous incident as well when she was upstairs in the playroom with Mr. Rene watching a movie. I believe she said it was a series of unfortunate events when he reached under her pants and touched her vagina skin to skin, and then reached under her shirt and touched her breast skin to skin. And then she described, I believe there might have been another incident as well. During the incident that occurred the night before, she said she believed he may be taking pictures or recording when he had his phone with the light on. And I asked her how she would believe that. She said because the light was on the phone and because he has previously shown her pictures of herself sleeping, talking about how she sleeps in a weird position, which she said seemed strange. I then talked to mom. Mom said that Rene does get up randomly throughout the night, multiple times. She did see him she has a camera downstairs around 1 and 2 in the morning, the night of the incident, walking around. And then she said that Mr. Rene does have points in time where he's alone with the child. I then moved to the residence where Mr. Rene was located. I conducted an interview at his residence with him. I Mirandized him. He agreed to speak with me. While we were talking, he said that he is alone with the child at times. and he said that occasionally he'll take her blanket off while she's sleeping because he believes she's cold. And he also admitted to being in the bedroom that night before around 3 a.m. I asked why he was in the room. He said he went in to turn the light on and turn the fan off. He then changed it to where the light was already on and it was a night light. Then he changed it to he didn't go in the room, and then he changed it to he did go in the room. So he kept going back and forth with that. I asked him if he touched her or might have accidentally touched her. He denied all of that. And then I asked him about if there would be any inappropriate pictures or videos on his phone of the child. He said no. He then pulled his phone out. He showed me one picture of her standing, went to swipe to another picture, and while he was swiping, he swiped over a video that appeared to be a video taken in the dark. Showed a leg and someone touching a leg. I asked him about that video. He wouldn't show it to me. He said that video was actually a picture of her sitting on the couch, which didn't make during the daytime, which didn't make sense. And then he refused to show me his phone or anything else on his phone. At the time, Mr. Rene had an active warrant for his arrest, so he was then placed under arrest. I seized his phone as evidence due to the nature of the video on the phone, the fact that the child believed that he was taking photos and pictures of her, also based on the previous photos and pictures, and then the incident of itself. A search warrant was taken out to do a forensic examination of the cell phone. Upon the forensic examination of the cell phone, I did find multiple photos and videos of documented child sexual abuse. There was photos of the child laying on the bed while asleep in her room with her breasts exposed. There's a photo of Mr. Rene holding the child's hand against his penis with a blue HP laptop in the background. On the floor, there was a photo of Mr. Rene's hand on the victim's vagina over her clothes on. She has, they're black shorts. They're kind of shimmering looking. There was a photo of or video where it starts off under the covers looking at her underwear, then it comes over, shows her, and then it proceeds to move closer, and you can see him come into the frame and actually kiss her face. There was another photo where you can see a tattoo on his arm. It's a tattoo of, I believe it's the state of Tennessee, which was on Mr. Rene's arm. I saw it when I spoke with him. So with those videos and pictures, I went to the house with the mother, went to the victim's room and took photographs. I was able to locate the HP laptop from the one photo. I was able to photograph the room, which matched the same room in the background, down to the headboard. Even the various sets of clothing the victim's wearing in the pictures and videos, we were able to locate that and photograph it as well, which proved that the pictures and the photos and the videos were of the victim, and that they were taken in the bedroom. And then in some of the pictures, she actually had a set of lights. I believe they refer to them as fairy lights against the wall next to her bed. I could see where the fairy lights used to be in the room with the little hang-ups. And I asked Mom about that, and Mom says it's been a while since they've been up. So it shows that there's a long-term molestation going on. It just happens to be that because of the incident where the child spoke up to the counselor, we're able to find out about it and then locate the documentation on the actual phone itself. Another thing I'd like to put in, when I asked Mr. Rene if something happened when he was in the room, he started to say, no, I didn't even get that. And then he was trying to, I believe it could have been the word far, I don't know, it started with an F, and he cut himself off and said no. So, and that's where we're at, and that's why I obtained the charge for child molestation.
Okay. And where is the mother's house where the victim lived? Where is that located?
The mother's house is 1814 McConnell Road in Grayson. That's within Gwinnett County.
Okay. And after speaking with the defendant, interviewing with him, do you see the defendant on this video?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you identify him by the name of the camera that he appears on and an item of clothing, what he looks like?
Yes, ma'am. It's on jail court video number 3. He's sitting on the left side, it appears to be, in a green jumpsuit, and has facial hair.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Rene Lewis, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Detective Conway, good afternoon. I may have missed it. The child's age, how old is the child?
I believe she's let me find it here. I've got it written down. She was born in 2008, so 12 years old now. 23, 2008, so I believe she might have been 11 at the time.
Okay, and did you interview her, or did you just review the forensic interview where she was interviewed by someone else?
I went to Mosaic, Georgia, and we had a forensic interviewer, Kiara Spivey. She conducted the interview. I was in an observation room, and then throughout the interview, she'll come into the room where I would ask her to ask additional questions.
And in that interview, if I understand you correctly, did the child indicate that she had been touched twice, one the night before and the first time when they were watching TV?
She indicated the night before, and then she also indicated that there was a time when she watched TV. She said the first time that it started occurring was when she was 11 years old, approximately 3 months before she turned 12. So there's multiple incidents. I believe it was, counting the one the night before, I think 2 or 3 incidents.
Okay, 2 or 3. And I'm assuming, even though it hasn't been said, that she resides in the bedroom alone. There's no other children that sleep in that bedroom with her. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Did either she, the child victim, or the mother indicate how long they had been living at the residence with Rene Chavez?
I believe I might have it somewhere in my notes. I know I asked her how long they'd been dating. If I can review my report, I'll see if it's in there.
Sure.
Laura told me Rene had been living with them for about 10 months, is what she said.
10 months. And you indicated that there were both inappropriate photos and videos that you located on my client's phone. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Can you tell us approximately how many, just based on what you saw after you got the search warrant, how many inappropriate videos you observed?
As far as just videos or videos and photos?
Well, I asked the question separate because I want to understand the difference between the photos and the videos. So the first question is really inappropriate videos.
I didn't write down exactly how many videos. I know in my report I described just the one video. I believe there may have been 1 to 2, not okay. more photos than videos.
Less than 5 videos. In terms of a range, is there more than 10 photos?
Yes, there were a lot of photos.
Okay, a lot of photos. And did those photos indicate, did those photos have a date associated with it?
I don't know about the date. I just viewed the pictures. The computer lab puts together a report with it, but I usually don't go based off the dates I see on there because I know whenever they dump it and all that, some of that stuff is odd, and they told me not to write down dates.
Okay, so you basically looked at a phone cell dump of a bunch of photos that were on his phone after you got the search warrant, is that right?
Yeah, the dump provides photos, messages, everything, and they put it together in a report a certain way so I can.
Okay, and when you're looking at the photos, in terms of inappropriate photos, are there more than 50, less than 50, more than 20, less than 20?
I'd say definitely more than 20. A lot of the photos would only pop up in thumbnails, which looks like they could have possibly been deleted, so it still saves the little bit left, and you can't fully pull them up. You can see them, but they're tiny. So I went with, for my report, the photos I could actually pull up and view entirely. But there was a large amount. I'd say more than 20, yes.
Okay, all right. And you only took one warrant for child molestation. Did you take the warrant for child molestation after you saw the photos or before you saw the photos?
Based on on Rene's admissions that he was in the room around the same time the night before, which corroborated the victim's statements, that's when I took out the warrant, and then I got the arrest warrant, and then I got the search warrant, which for.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you, Judge.
Any redirect by the state?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, state rest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any other evidence from defense?
No, Judge, we'll submit that, just based on the evidence that I heard from the officer.
Okay, sufficient probable cause. Rene Chavez has been found to bind you over the charge of child molestation. And I believe he does not have a bond.
Judge, I'd like to be heard on bond. There's no ICE hold. There's some type of hold out of Barrow County. I'm not sure what the charge is. Obviously, from what the court has heard, I suspect that if this case is presented to the grand jury, it's going to come out of the grand jury with more charges. than the single count of child molestation, just based on what I heard Detective Conway say with photos and or videos. But I'm going to respectfully, at this point in time, ask for a bond amount of $7,500. My client has a contact here in Georgia. Obviously, he's been residing here for a while. He does, in fact, have a job that he can return to. So we're going to respectfully ask the court to consider a bond amount of $7,500.
Okay, what's the state's position?
The state strongly objects to any bond in this case. He does have that hold in Barrow County. He has a fairly significant prior criminal history, and some of the ones that are more concerning include some DUIs, some obstruction, criminal trespass. He's got a couple of probation violations, and he has a 2013 simple battery, family violence, and interference with government property, obstruction. He already used first-time offender on those. He also has some Louisiana priors, showing that he has connections to another state. He has disturbing the peace and resisting resisting a law enforcement officer and battery on law enforcement officer from 2007, although the disposition is not shown on the Louisiana GCIC. And just the severity of the charges in this case and the length of time that the child molestation occurred over, and the trauma that was caused upon the victim.
All right, I am going to deny the request for bond on threat to the victim, risk of future felonies, and risk of flight.
Yes, Judge.